Hi guys, how are you doing? So in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a show and hide password feature inside Bubble. Completely plugin free. So when I went online, especially on YouTube, most of the video they use plugin. But what happened when you use plugin? Sometimes you have to buy it, and then let's say the plugin needs some kind of upgrade. So it's like you rely on a company that may not provide the service, and if there is some problem with this plugin, and then you're in trouble. That's why this method work natively. It looks super professional because you create it inside Bubble. So we're gonna do that. Okay, let's do that without plugin. Okay, it's a high and show password. Okay, let's do that, guys. Okay, here I am. Here I have email, password, login. So what I'm gonna do that this is input password. So I'm gonna have I can duplicate if I want. Okay, let's say I have a okay, let's try. I can duplicate this or get another input. Okay, so let me drag another input here. So let me call this content for my text. See, this one is password, but this one is text. So I'm gonna call this. This is input password. I'm gonna call this input password text. Input. Let me call it input password text. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put this exactly over this one. So I'm gonna use the same layout, exactly this one. Okay. This layout. I'm gonna W to 260 H X Y everything so that I'm gonna have the input password just over input password X, just over input password. Okay. So this layout, you will go here, you will change it. So the change will be instead of here I have 72, so I'm going to change this, put 72. Here I have 280, so I'm going to change this to 280. Okay, that's all I'm going to change X and Y. So basically, since they have everything the same, Y then hide, so I'm going to 72, 282, 72. So let's say 72 here, 72, and then here is going to be 280. That's it. There it is. So basically here, I can put this, I can drag this here, no problem. So basically here I have input password text over input password. So that is the first thing I did. Now I'm gonna get the, I'm gonna get, oh sorry, got it, saves. Okay. So I'm gonna put the show and hide figure here. Okay. I'm gonna drag the icon here. Okay. Let's do that. Hold on. So one more thing to make sure. Input password text, you need to check this one. This element is visible on page load, okay? So just to make sure, when I say check, you need to uncheck, okay? So I just uncheck it, okay? So I unchecked, especially with input password text, I uncheck this element is visible on page load, okay? So let's work now for the icon hide and show, okay? Let's go in. We're gonna get the icon, okay? Okay, guys, before adding the icon, a hide and show, we need to create custom state and then also work on the input password. Let's do that. Okay. Here I click on the page. Okay, on the page, not on the input password. I click on the page. So and then here I'm gonna create a custom state. Okay. So I click here and then I'm gonna add a custom state. So add a custom state and then I'm gonna give it the name. I'm gonna call it password value. Okay, let's call it password. Let's call it password value. Okay, and then type, let's put type text, okay, and okay, create. That's fine. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. Okay, so that's fine. So now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bind both input custom state. Okay, I'm gonna buy uh input password and input text. Here's what I'm gonna do. So now let's go to the input password. Okay, I go to input password, and then on the appearance, okay, so it is for input password, and then let's go to initial content here. Okay, I'm gonna the dynamic, I'm gonna click to have parent page password value. Insert parent page. Hold on. Parent page. Sorry. Sorry. So the parent page password value. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Okay, guys. The parent page, which is login. This page is login, and then password value. Okay. So I did this for input password text. I'm gonna do the same thing for input password. Input password, and then I'm gonna parent page, which is login, and then password value. Okay, that's what I did. Okay, so I did this for input password, and then input password text. Now let's we're gonna work on the workflow now. Okay, so when input password, so we're gonna make a synchronization between the workflow 1, when input password value is changed. So let's go input password. Let's work on the workflow. So hold on. So we're gonna work on the workflow. Okay, so let's now what we're gonna do, we're gonna uh we're gonna go to workflow. So we're gonna work on input password value. Okay, input password. So let's go to the workflow 1. What we're gonna do, we're gonna new workflow. What we're gonna set an element. Set. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Okay, guys, let's go on the workflow. Okay, so let me go on the workflow. Oh, what is it? So sorry. Come on. Okay, so I'm on the workflow now. Let's see, new workflow. So basically, let me go to element. Okay, in element, I'm gonna choose an input. An input value is changed. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set this for input password. Okay, input password text, just an example. Okay, when input password text is changed, let me see, that should be this one. Let me see, input password text is changed. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, input password text is changed. I'm gonna put element, set an element. Let's go to element. I'm gonna scroll down, set state. So the state I'm gonna do, let me see, is gonna be, hold on, guys, because I already did it. That's what I'm checking. Number 2, I'm gonna, instead of register, is gonna be login, and then it's gonna password. So input password text. So here I'm gonna put login, and then let me see, 2 is gonna be uh, password value, input password text. So it's gonna be custom state. It's gonna be the custom state is gonna be password value, and then number two, the value gonna input password text value, input password text. So here it's gonna be input password text, input password text value. Okay, so let's see if it's correct because I already did it for another page. I did it for register. So input password text value. That's what I did for register. Okay, so it should be good. 1 and 2 is good. I did it for register. So I'm doing it for login now. So I'm gonna do the same. This is for input password text value is changed. Now I'm gonna do something else new, and then I'm gonna I'm gonna an input value is changed. So it's gonna be input, it's not password text. I got input password text, but input password. Okay, so now input password value is changed. Okay, so that's gonna be number 3. So input password change. I'm gonna set state. So set state is pictured 4. 4 is gonna be, it's what, register. So I'm doing it for login. So it's gonna be a register, a password value, input password value. Okay, so it's gonna be login. So hold on, guys. Let me see for the state password value custom state. So let's go to sets element, set state element. So it's gonna be login and then custom state password value. So it's gonna be login, custom state password value, and then the value gonna be, sorry, the value gonna be input password value. Okay, input password value. The value gonna be input password value, input password value. Okay, so that's it. So I have this. This is input password. This is input password text. Let's see. Input password text, input password text. So login, password value, custom state, that the custom state, and then input password text value. That's fine. So I'm good now. So let's go back to the design, guys. So remember what we did. We, in fact, for insert for input password, remember, and it was the initial is at login password value. We did this instead of input password text. It's a login password value. And remember, we have the same layout. Hold on, sorry guys. Yeah, exactly the same layout for both of them. Okay. So now, eh, let's see, guys. Is it time to come with the other sections? Add and show icon. Let's work with the icon. Okay, we're just gonna work with the icon now. Okay, we're done with this. We're gonna work with the icon. Okay, guys, let's drag the account. Okay, let's look for the icon. We're gonna drag it here like that, and then let me look for. Let me type I. Okay, I choose this one. Okay, okay, okay. That's my account. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna on this account. Okay, let me put it right here like that. Okay, like that. Okay, so I'm gonna put a condition on it. Okay, condition. So I already did it for register. Let's see the first picture. What I did. Pick one. It was this one. It's like when input password text value is visible. Okay, so I'm gonna change it to this one. Okay, when input password text value. So let's say define when when input password text value is visible. Let me see if it was like that. Let's see. Let me double check. Pick one. When input password text value is visible. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. When input password text value is visible. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change uh, when input password text value is visible. What is it? Change icon. I'm gonna change the icon to something like, okay, let's change it. Change the icon to something like, I need an ice. What about, I can choose this one. I put off, okay? I can put report off or what? Let me see what I chose. Let me see what did I choose. I chose exactly do not disturb. I choose do not disturb. Report off or it's better. Let me tap something. If I put eyes, oh, let me look for a better. So I can choose do not disturb like this one, but I can choose this one like do not disturb or what? Let me put hide. Yeah, definitely I'm gonna choose this one. Okay, hide source. Okay, so that's the condition. Okay, I was trying to look for the one when the eyes is crossed, but that's good too. Okay, so that's the condition. Okay, guys. So now let's work on the workflow. Okay, let's go to workflow. Add workflow. So icon. Let's say icon material out. No. Oh, icon. No, no. Material outline. Oh, okay, that's the name. That's why let's call it better icon show password. So let me erase this. Let me erase this. Let's call it. Let erase this. Okay, let me go. Let me call this. Oh yeah, let me call this icon show password is better. Hold on. Icon show password. Let's call it like that. Okay, so it's better. So now say when icon show password. Okay, so for the first one, icon show password is clicked only when input password is visible. Okay, only when input password is visible. So I'm going to say only when input password is visible. Okay, so that remember I did this for register. Okay, so icon show password is click element icon show password only when input password is visible. That's for one. Okay, now let's go for three so I can go fast because I already did it. So now I'm gonna step one, high input password. So it's gonna be input password. Step one, high input password. Step one. Let's go to step one. Step one is gonna be element. Element is gonna be high input password. Okay. So that's basically for three. It's only high input password. Okay. Let's go to step two, animate input. Animate input. Okay. This is not an obligation. You can choose to do it or not. Basically, they animate, okay? So we're gonna do it, but it's optional, okay? So basically, this one is for animate input password. So you're gonna choose animate input password, transition fade out, define custom of duration. So that is gonna fade out. You choose to use an animation fade out. You know, like I told you, you don't have to do that. This is just optional, okay? So let's go to step two, animate input password. So let's go to this one, animate element. Hold on. So I'm gonna say animate input password. Let's call it fade out, transition fade out, uh, custom, and then we'll put it at 180. Okay, so let's see if it was like that. Let's double check. So input password, transition fade out. Okay, that's fine. Duration, that's fine. This is animate. Animate input password again. We're gonna, so let's go to 5 again. 5 element, animate element, animate input password. Sorry. Now it's gonna be fade in, right? Transition fade in. A define. Let's put it 180. Let's double check. Double check the other animate input password text. Excuse me. Say input password text. Transition fade in. So not input password. Input password text. Input password text. Yeah, this is input password text. Transition fading. Okay, and then that's it. So animate input password text to be sure. Okay, this is animate. Although it's animate input password, on the element we have input password text transition fading. Okay, animate input password, input password text. Okay, input password text. Okay, the last step is show password text. So we're gonna have like show. It's gonna show input password text. Show. So let's go to element again. So we're gonna have like show element. So come on, show element. So what I have is show element input password text. Okay, show element input password text. Okay, basically we did this for icon show password is clicked. Okay, and then we have high password. So you see input password. See the difference? High input password. So this is like icon show password is clicked only when input password is visible. Okay, so we're gonna do something like that, which is gonna be reverse. So we're gonna change it. Okay, we're gonna something like that. But look, it's gonna be, we need to be careful. It's gonna be the reverse. You understand? It's gonna be the reverse. The one we're gonna do, it's still gonna be a control password is clicked, but it's gonna be the reverse. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Okay. Okay, guys, let's go to login. So, so we already did this one. When I call password is clicked, we're gonna do the reverse. Okay, let's go for another one. When I, okay, for the reverse. So, uh, hold on. Sorry. Hold on. Sorry. So the same thing when icon show password is clicked. Okay, so let's see when icon show password. See, this is only when input password X is visible. Okay, so it's gonna be here only when input password text is visible. Okay, that's it. So you see the difference? Oh, let's call this a to avoid confusion. Let's call this in icon show password click reverse. Let's call this reverse so that we to avoid confusion. So sorry guys. We name, let's call this reverse. Okay, reverse. Okay, I call it reverse. Okay, that's the reverse. Okay, you see the difference? That's the reverse. This one is input password is visible. This one input password text it's visible. Okay, that's the reverse. So pick two is like high input password text. Input password text. Step one is gonna be high input password text. Steps one is gonna be high input password text. Let me see. High input password text is good. Okay. High input password text. Okay. And let's say this one is gonna, it's optional animate input password text. Animate is gonna be animate input password text, transition fade out. Okay. Animate input password text. We're gonna, let's do animate input password text. Let's call it transition fade out. Define it. Let's put it 150. So let me show high input password text. Let's see if it's okay. Okay, high input password text, transition fade out is good. Okay, now animate input password. Okay, so now it's animate input password. Transition gonna be fading. Okay, animate input password. So let's do animate. So animate input password, and then it's gonna be fading. Transition duration. Let's put it 180. Okay. So let's see if it's good. Input password, transition fading, so animate input password. Okay, should be good. And then lastly is gonna be show input password. Okay. Step 4 is show input password and then input password. Show input password. So the next step is gonna be show show input password. See, let me see. Show input password. That's fine. Okay. So as you can see if I have to make a comparison between the reverse, the last step is was show input password. It's input password text. You see this one. The last step is show input password, but input password. So that's the way it is. So guys, what about if we check if it's work? Let's see. Okay, let's check. Let's do the preview. Okay, let me tap a password example here. Yeah, yeah. See, guys, it's really good. So you see, mm, it is, it is. That's the final result. That's the final result. Okay, that's the final result. So, so I hope that was helpful, definitely. So understand here, you don't rely on plugin. Okay, you install and plugin, you never know. For some reason, they don't have any update or whatever. There is a bug in the plugin, and you're in trouble. This is inside Bubble, so native. Okay, so so I think that's really good. Okay, because if you go on YouTube, you're not gonna find this. I'm telling you, you're not gonna find it. Okay, so that's why I think paying like $5 or $10 for this, that's have some value. Okay.